welcome back to the channel. Before I start this video, I just want to say this t-shirt is by Steamboat Style. Steamboat Style is a Disney themed clothing company. It's run by my good friend Drake. Just to let you know, they are doing this shirt from Tuesday until the 1st of July on a special limited release. All proceeds do go to helping LGBT youth and LGBT minority groups. Anyway, so if you're here, you've maybe, I'm going to assume, seen my other video last week, which was just talking about like kind of the online application for the Disney Cultural Exchange Programme. So following on from that, this one is pretty much the same sort of thing, but it's just me I'm taking these off. Oh my god, these are so annoying. Anyway, so following on from that, it's just pretty much the same sort of thing, but this is going to be about the pre-screens. I was lucky enough to, well, I say lucky enough, it was actually quite unfortunate. I did the pre-screens my first year that I applied. I didn't get through, but I still did them, and then I did the pre-screens again this year, but in the alumni pre-screens because I did a different programme. So I kind of have two different sides of the pre-screen experience, so I'm just going to throw that out there as well. So the pre-screen is basically an interview that Yummy Jobs themselves do before they send you to an interview with Disney. It's essentially just them just narrowing down a lot of candidates to see who they want to actually send to Disney and who they feel Disney would like to work for them. If you're successful in your online application, you will get an email inviting you to a pre-screen. The pre-screens you do have to travel for, they're not an online. You basically just have to go down to Epping, which is in Essex. It's on the, whatever the red line is on the tube. I cannot remember. I feel like it's the central line, is that it? Is that what a name is? The centre line? The centre? I don't know London. I'm not, as you can tell by my accent, I'm not English. Obviously that's not to say that all English people know London, but I've not really been there that much, so I couldn't tell you a single thing about the tube. Other than you can get on the red line and it takes you to Epping. Who knew? Anyway, so it is in Essex, so for me, for example, I did have to travel from Scotland, which was kind of a trip, and because my pre-screens were both, I think they were both afternoon, no, one of them was a morning, so I travelled down, I stayed in a hotel nearby called the Bell, which was nice enough, and then I just walked into town for my interview with Yummy Jobs, not with Epping, oh my god. Essentially, it is a group interview. It's not a one-to-one interview, so it's a big group interview, whether or not you're doing pre-screens for normal applicants or pre-screens for alumni. You do meet with the Yummy Jobs team. There's a nice wee presentation, it's very nice. They talk you through the programme. They're slightly different depending on if you're normal pre-screens or if you're doing the alumni pre-screens. Normal pre-screens, which I think most people who are watching this video will be doing. Yeah, they essentially, you go into like their wee office, it's quite nice. It's like a wee grey door next to the British Heart Foundation, I think it is. I don't think it was always grey, but I think it is grey now. Unless I'm confusing myself with something else, which I probably am at this point. I've just gone a bit haywire the past few weeks. As you can tell, it was my 21st by these balloons this week, so it's just been a bit chaotic and my mind's a bit of a rambles. But anyway, you go up this flight of stairs, and then you go into their wee kind of space, and you've got a couple of little rooms, but you all just sit in the big kind of main room. They do usually do a cake sale for Macmillan every single pre-screen. Well, the past 2 years anyway, they've done that. I think they might do it off other years as well, but it's quite nice where people just bring cakes, you bring a little money. I couldn't really bring cakes from Scotland because they'd probably go stale, but I did give some money before I took a cake, etc. It's quite cute. Anyway, so basically they do like a bit of housekeeping in the sense where they tell you like programme dates roughly sometimes. I don't know if I can't remember if they have the exact dates by then. But like the costs, the roles, what they're kind of expecting from you, what you should be expecting from them. It's quite nice, it just talks you through it. I think there is some people who don't realise the costs of the programme and don't quite understand all that the programme partakes, so I think it does help to kind of narrow down that in a sense, because some people kind of realise during that stage it's maybe not for them. They talk you through like your living, how you'd be living, how like you'd get to work, etc., where you'd be living, etc., so it's pretty decent. And then there comes, after they've done like their wee kind of thing, they sort you into groups, and your group will have like a rough kind of time, and then you just go for your group interview with other people in that group. So I'm pretty sure the first time I did it, I was team Tollmater, like the guy from Cars. I only watched Cars for the first time this week, and actually, yeah, I respect that. At the time I was like, why am I Tollmater? I hate Tollmater. But now I'm like, yes, Tollmater. The second time around, I think we were Toy Story Mania in the alumni, so they kind of have a Disney theme when they give you your group name, but your group name doesn't really have anything to do with it in the long run, it's just people you'll be in the interview with. I'm speaking so fast, I'm so sorry. For non-alumni pre-screens, so like the basic pre-screens they do for pretty much everyone, the question, I'm trying to think what the questions we got asked for, because it was quite a while ago I did it. So the questions were like, what Disney character would you be? I think I said Stitch. I don't remember why. Yeah, a lot of people say like Belle because they like to read books, etc. So it's just up to personal choice. Someone in my group said Ariel because they wanted to go on cruise lines. It's like, why would you be good with the programme? Name a time you've came across an issue and you've sorted it. Why do you think you'd be able to live with people? For example, for living with people, I said that, well, I had a lot of experience. I moved to halls. I lived in a flat with 5 boys and 2 other girls. So I kind of know like all the sides of it. I've had the messy flatmates, I've had the non-messy flatmates, I've had the flatmate conflict. So I felt I was fine with living with other people. There was a scenario question, like a guest wants this set of Disney ears but they're out of stock, what would you do? So it's just kind of like short questions, kind of general interview questions. I can't remember them all exactly, which is very unhelpful now I think about it, but they do change every time, they're not the same. If you just give a Google of like Yummy Jobs pre-screen questions, there's tons of blogs out there where people have said like the exact questions they got asked, but I can't remember the exact ones that I was asked off the top of my head, but they were good questions. There was basic ones as well, like just to do with the double checking your eligibility, so double checking when you're available. There was also asking about your tattoos. So at the time, no, I had one tattoo at the time on my back, and if you know me and you don't know I've got a tattoo, that kind of proves it's not visible, but it's not really a visible tattoo unless I want it to be visible. I don't really show it that much just because of the way it is, so I was fine, like it's not a visible tattoo, so they just kind of made a remark, but that was it. They also ask if you've got any piercings, which I don't, and then they just go through like some basic questions with you, just asking you bits and bobs about your CV, etc. So the alumni pre-screen is pretty much quite similar, except the questions are, well, it's not really, it is similar in the sense of like the layout, you go into epping, etc. The differences are the presentation is slightly different, like it's a little bit more less about the details of the programme because they assume you pretty much know it. Mostly people who do go, it's alumni of all Yummy Jobs programmes, but the majority of people are people who've done the Disney one before. I think there was about 8 of us maybe who hadn't done the Disney programme. We'd either done Universal or one of the other ones like the Catalina Island or the Rhode Island sort of thing. The Disney alumni all went in their groups together. We went in a different interview than the Disney one. It was like a group of us who'd done Universal and, like I said, the other programmes, and they just basically asked us questions kind of related to our previous programmes and why that made us good for the Disney programme. So it was like, how did you find your living experience? Did you have any issues? How did you counteract them? How did you find working at the temperature? How did you find being away from your family? Just kind of questions like that. And then why do you think that your programme has prepared you for Disney? I'm not sure what the actual Disney alumni programme questions were, but I assume they're kind of similar, like why do you want to do a programme again? What skills do you want to improve on, etc. In terms of like the pre-screen, the whole experience, basically each time that I did it, there'd been group chats made. So I joined the group chat. It's pretty easy to find the group chats, etc. Or so if you're applying like this summer, I hopefully am as well, so you can message me and I'll add you to the group chat. But basically, like, there was a group chat made for people who'd got through. And it was like, which pre-screen date are you? And then there was like separate little pre-screen group chats made so you could meet up with people or like learn who people were before you went, sorry. So for the first time I did it, we all went for lunch at a restaurant called Westwood, I think it was. I'm not 100% sure, which was quite nice. And then the second time I already knew some of the folk. So me, Dan, Charlotte, Jake and a couple of others. We just met up beforehand in the Starbucks and then we all headed across to Yummy, which was quite nice. So it's nice to kind of meet people before you go in. You might not necessarily be put in the same group with them, but it's just nice to kind of have a few familiar faces there. Obviously that doesn't affect like your actual application or anything, it's just personal preference. In terms of like tips for the pre-screen, I definitely make sure you come dressed like in the correct attire, like don't turn up in a pair of jeans and Vans. They do say smart casual, so the first time I went round, I did wear like a black kind of turtleneck and some tartan trousers and a wee pair of shoes. Personally, I don't like my first outfit I wore. I feel like it was very dark. I'm not saying you have to wear colours, but I'm just saying I didn't like it. I also don't think the top was like fit me very well, etc. But anyway, the second time round I feel like I preferred my outfit a lot better. I think I've got a photo of both of them and I'll kind of put the photo of both of them here so you can kind of see the difference. Second time round I wore like a nice blazer, a nice turtleneck and some trousers. I actually wore the same thing for my pre-screen this year round as I did at my final interview for Disney, just because I didn't see the point in going out and buying a whole new outfit, and I knew that one travelled quite well. I'd also really recommend being really polite, obviously, to the Yummy Jobs guys. Like, they're all really lovely people. They're just there to make sure you get the best experience and that they get the best experience from you as well. They're quite chatty, they're lovely, just say hi to them. Just be nice to them in general, they're really good guys. Definitely chat to people who are at your pre-screens, even if you don't get through. It was really nice to have made some friends there. For example, one of the girls that I had my original pre-screen with, we both didn't get through to the Disney programme, but we actually both ended up doing the Universal programme, which was nice because we kind of knew each other already. So before we left, we were messaging each other a lot, like, hey, have you done this? Hey, what do we do with this? And it was nice just having someone there that you could chat to. I had friends who I'd met at the pre-screens who actually got the programme and I didn't. And while I was sad for myself, I was really happy for them. And they had the best summer. Obviously, I was out there as well doing my own thing on my Universal programme. But it was so good to see, like, their summer. And it's good to message them now saying, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So it's really good to make friends with people who have done the programme before, people who maybe are going on the programme and you're not. So I'd recommend just reaching out to other people who've done it. There's a lot of people on YouTube who've done the CEP that you could contact. There's a lot of people on Instagram you can find. Well, I say there's me, but there's me for the application process, not for the actual CEP out there process. I sadly obviously didn't get to go out, which I have said in previous videos. So while I didn't actually manage to complete the CEP because of coronavirus, I did get through the application process. So I just thought I'd make these application videos, and then hopefully I'll be out there next summer, but it's still very hit and miss of what Disney want and who Disney need at the moment, so no one actually knows what's going on with applications yet. But yeah, I did the Universal programme, so I can advise people on that as well. I'd really recommend, if you're not 100% sure, just reach out to people, ask them the questions you want to know about your programme. Really recommend not networking, I don't like that word, it feels too professional, but just reaching out to people. There's a lot of people who are more than, I feel like everyone I know who's done a Disney programme or even the Universal programme is more than happy to talk about it. People will talk about it and you probably won't be able to get them to stop. I recommend just talking to people at your pre-screen because it's nice to get to know people, and it kind of shows, I don't know if Yummy Jobs do watch you, but it does show that you're quite a chatty person and you'll get along well. And I think the good thing about chatting away to people is if you do get on the programme and they get on the programme, you do have people you'll be able to chat away to, like, and message about things if you're confused about, like, visa process, or if you're confused about, like, filling out certain forms for Disney. One thing that I really would heavily input on is turning up on time to your pre-screen. I know a lot of people in the past have had issues with trains, had issues with, like, the tube, etc. Personally, that's why I got there, like, the day before. Coming from Scotland, I didn't want to let any delays affect me at all because it was very likely there would be, so I stayed the night. Obviously that's not feasible for everyone, but I would recommend leaving extra early, making sure you have extra time. And if you do get there too early, you can always sit in the Starbucks at the Costa across the road. You would rather be really early than particularly late. That's the other thing, be prepared. I am the worst for saying this. I have such a cheek by saying this. Basically, they want you to, sometimes Yummy Jobs ask you to bring things with them. Typically they ask you to bring your CV and a photo. I brought the photo. In fact, no, I didn't actually. I forgot the photo. I accidentally I left the photo at home, so I got Jake to print out a photo for me and bring it up for me for our alumni ones, and I also forgot my CV, and a lovely girl called Kelsey printed it out for me. So I was just a walking disaster on the day. So don't be me, be everyone else, and be prepared. Make sure you've printed off your stuff in proper time, make sure you've got it in your bag before you leave the house. Just make sure you've got everything that you need. But I got rejected the first time I applied for it, and I honestly think that everything does happen for a reason, because I wouldn't have met all the people I met in my Universal programme. And while coronavirus is obviously like, nah mate, you're not going this year, I'm hopeful for next summer. If I don't get it next summer, I don't get it next summer. Like, and I know that's a very, like, oh, people will be like, oh, but you've done a programme, you've had a summer out there. Yeah, I have, but it's not the Disney one. But I know that if I don't get it, it's not the end of the world. And that sounds so privileged to say, because I know for some people this is something they've been wanting their entire life, and so did I. But it does get to a point when you're like, okay, I'll try again next year, and if you can't try again next year, there's always the CRP. Like, there's always ways to make things that you want. I'm a big fan at the moment of manifestation. If you can manifest it into your life, then all's gonna be fine. It's best not to dwell on things that you don't know about. It's best not to overthink things. So essentially I'm just saying, like, be calm in your interview. You don't want to talk over people, but you don't want to not speak at all. Just find that, like, in-between balance. You've just got to be casual, but you've got to be nice at the same time. Being respectful and being courteous. Courteous? Courteous? I don't know how to say that word, but you get the gist. To all the other people in the interview goes a long way. Especially, like, if someone's talking, don't interrupt them. Like, I can't stress that enough. People do that so a lot more often in group interviews than you'd think. And it doesn't help anyone. It just makes the atmosphere a bit awkward. People are kind of like, why have they just spoke over me? It makes the person who was talking that got spoke over quite sometimes puts them down because it's like, oh, they're obviously not listening to what I have to say. And you want to kind of interact with the other people in your interview. You don't want to make it seem like you're having a one-to-one interview and ignoring everyone else in the room. Try and bounce off each other the way we did in our alumni one, but that's because we all knew each other. Obviously don't go in like, alright mate, what's up, because that's a bit that's quite unprofessional, but just find that happy medium of like chill, of being nice, being courteous, and you'll be fine. Final thing I will say is definitely be yourself. If you're going to go in and be like, yeah, I'm the best person in my uni, I deserve this job more than anyone else in the world, it's probably not going to get you very far. Everyone who goes in to apply for a program like this thinks that they deserve it. There's no one who's going to apply for this going, oh, I don't deserve the program, don't give it to me. Everyone equally in their mind believes they deserve it as much as everyone else, and that's exactly true. You cannot say that you deserve something more because you're a bigger fan. You cannot say that you've deserved something more because you've worked harder. You don't know how much other people have worked. You don't know how much other people love Disney, etc. You just need to go in there and focus on you. Don't think about other people. This is something that we all spoke about before. There was some people sometimes in the interview who come across very much like, I'm getting this job, the rest of you aren't. But you just need to focus on yourself. Just make sure you're being nice. If someone's talking over you, don't talk over them. Just remember who you are, remember your own morals, and I think you'll get quite far. Not necessarily in the program, but definitely in life. If you just be nice to people when you're doing group interviews. Group interviews are a very scary thing, and I know that. I'm very extroverted, but I'm also quite shy sometimes when I'm meeting new people, because I'm very full in your face, but I'm always quite like insecure about being extroverted sometimes, which is such a weird thing to say, I know. But definitely just be yourself, like just make some friends, have a good time, and like I said, it's not the end of the world. It may feel like it, but it's honestly not if you don't get it. But if you're being yourself, you probably will be fine. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, I reckon you would be fine. And I'm saying you don't want to ramble, and I have rambled this entire video, but here we are. So that's pretty much all I've got in the pre-screens that's coming to mind at the moment. If you want to know anything else about the pre-screens or the online interviews, you're more than welcome to check my other videos, or just check out this video, I guess, and the last video, so that doesn't make any sense. I'm putting one up on the final interviews next week. Like I said, I was a Yummy Jobs content creator, so you can also check out my Insta, and there's tons of photos of my summer experience at Universal program. There's also a couple of my other videos about the Universal program if you don't want to do Disney, so there's always that. Yeah, so feel free to message me if you have any questions about any of the application process. Obviously, like I said, I can't really comment on what life is like when you're out there on the Disney CEP because I didn't actually get to go, but I can comment on the Lowe's kind of equivalent, which maybe isn't really that helpful in terms of the CEP, but it just gives you a look at like some life out there, I guess. I mean, I don't really know. Keep an eye out for applications opening. They might not, who knows. There's no point getting yourself worked up about it. That's my motto at the moment anyway, and we'll talk soon.